Okay, somebody mentioned in one of my gear review videos that they want to see me using my gear. So I decided to spend a night out. It's winter, got down to about 12 degrees last night. So here's some of my gear in use. This is the one U.S. Army shelter half. I got my Kelty Red Wing pack under there and my cheapo $40 0 degree mummy sleeping bag, which kept me warm. And I do have 2 sleeping pads. So there it all is. Now, some of you may wonder, why do I have it set up in that configuration? And that's because it just helps keep me warmer. You know, maybe it gives me that little cocoon feeling at night. If I was gonna work around during the day, again, I don't have a fire out. This is just a quick overnighter. So I want to stay as warm and compact as possible. If I was gonna have a fire, you know, I'd put up the U.S. Army shelter half in the traditional style, you know, kind of the half of an A-frame style. But there it is. So I'll show you how I get in there. It's held down by 5 of those landscaping nails. So it's all there, and 1 trekking pole. So it's gonna be a little bumpy while I try and get in there, but that's the way I'm gonna do it. So just take this loop off, kind of comes back. One thing that I did find out is have some kind of a rag and make sure you brush all your snow away from where you're working, because snow just gets in everywhere, and of course that'll melt eventually. So here I am getting in. Pause the video and then I'll give you a little shot of what it looks like. Well, there's my pack and there it is. Just barely enough room to cocoon yourself in. Okay, just a couple of thoughts on that overnight. When it's cold and winter, snow is inevitably going to get wet and melt. So, and you're going to have issues with condensation. So one of the things I do to try and combat all those issues is I keep this fake ShamWow cloth, and that absorbs the moisture when I'm brushing off the snow off of my work area there on the ground cloth. Now eventually that's going to freeze and have to dry out, so hopefully I'll be able to have a fire or go inside somewhere and dry that out. You don't want to, of course, wrap that up in a plastic bag because it's going to all mold and mildew, so it goes in the mesh pocket outside. So another thing, I've mentioned this before, this is a 12 by 14 inch piece of 1/2 inch sleeping pad. I use this as a kneel pad, sit pad. That thing is essential. When you're working around in the snow, again, inevitably it's going to melt, and just use that as a sit pad. Down booties. I really like these down booties. They're from REI. They're, I guess, about $35 now. You can get them on sale sometimes. By morning, there was condensation in there, or from my sweat, from my feet, because my feet were sweating. So if I wrap these up back in a plastic bag, they're going to be damp tonight and eventually get cold. So hopefully I have a way of getting somewhere where I can dry those out. Again, cold tent situation. And here's that $40 mummy sleeping bag I got just at the local sporting goods store. It works okay down to around 10 degrees underneath that tarp. So those are my thoughts. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention. Last night when I set up that canvas tarp and my sleeping pads and that all-weather blanket, I wasn't on an exactly perfectly level space, and that's all plastic underneath me, and it was easy just to kind of roll off my sleeping pad or kind of shift myself downhill. So try and get yourself a nice level area and work the snow away from you where you're working, because you're going to end up kicking it into your shelter and into your sleeping situation. So those are my thoughts on my overnight. Like I say, I think it was around 10-12 degrees, something like that, and I was not totally warm, but I was warm enough. I don't sleep real well anyhow. I always wake up every 2 hours, and of course I was waking up every 2 hours. I'm a side sleeper, so switching sides, all that business. So those are my thoughts. Okay, here I am. It's all in there. Of course you're not going to be able to see anything, but there's my pack and my trekking pole up there, and there's just no room. There's the end of the U.S. Army shelter half. Again, the thing I like about the canvas is that you can have it around a fire, so I can make a fire out in front later on and set it up in a different configuration. It is a little heavy. It weighs 3 pounds. I've waterproofed it, and it really is good in the snow and the wind. So that's it. That's me using my gear overnight, and have that all-weather blanket underneath me.